Okay, so this lesson is about graphing lines, graphing linear equations. All right, lesson 222. Okay, to graph an equation of the line, the first thing we want to do, this is the easiest method, is we want to first write the equation in slope-intercept form. Remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. All right, now, we know that the y-intercept is b and the slope is m. All right, so we're specifically going to be looking at these two values right there in the equation. Okay, we're going to take the b, or the y-intercept, and we're going to plot the y-intercept. We're going to put that dot on the coordinate plane. Then the slope we're going to use to move, and that's the key. That's how I always remember that slope is m. Move tells me how to go find another point that would be on this line. Once I have the two lines drawn, the 2 points drawn, I draw the line. All right? It's a pretty simple process, but you got to be patient and take your time. So let's jump right in. Okay. I noticed that the slope-intercept form is already done. I know that -3 is the y-intercept, and I know that -7/3 is the slope. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go on the y-axis and find the y-intercept here at -3 and put a dot. Now the slope is -7/3, but remember I could also say it's 7 over -3. Both of those equate to a negative fraction. Now, if I use the idea of moving slope, I know rise over run is my definition. If I go down 7, I'm now off of my picture. But if I go like the second one says, if it says go up 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'm still in the picture, in the coordinate plane that they provide me. I just got to remember that the second movement is -3, so I go left, 1, 2, 3, and there's my second point. I take those 2 points, and through those 2 points, I do my best to sketch a line through the entire coordinate plane. All right, pretty simple. Let's take a look at this second one. I know that the y-intercept is a +4. I know the slope is 3. So remember again, what does that mean for a slope of 3? That means rise over run, 3 over 1. Okay, I'm going to graph the y-intercept here at 4. I know the slope says I should move up 3 and 1 to the right. Well, that's again not going to work because I'm off of my chart. I could also go down 3 and 1 to the left. All right, so that's the way I'm going to move this one. Down 1, 2, 3, 1 to the left. There's my 2 locations. Through those 2 points, I can draw a line. Now, let's see how accurate this line is that I just drew. Because the slope, remember, continues from point to point to point. So if I were to start at that point that I just found and went down 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right, this line should have gone through that point as well. This is going to continue for the entire graph of the line. The slope simply tells us how we're going to move, rising and running, from one point to another. But let's say we come across something like this. All right, y equals 1. Now, there's a few different ways for how I can learn to graph this line. Yes, it's a line. Okay? The way that I always think makes the most sense to me is I first plot the point y is equal to 1. All right, so I know that's on the y-axis at 1. When I have an equation and I don't have both y and x, I think of this as special. So a special line I know means either it's vertical or horizontal. And then I think to myself, when is another time that y is equal to 1? Well, I'm going to say, what about right there? Now that's the point 3, 1. That's another time that y is equal to 1. That helps to give me a guide for what this line should look like graphically. That's it. All right? Does that same idea work on this special equation when x is -3? Well, again, I'm going to find on the x-axis this time when x is negative 3. All right, I'm going to think of another time when x is negative 3. How about right here? That would be the point 3, negative, I'm sorry. When x is negative 3, that would be the point negative 3, 3. Now, this allows me to say, oh yeah, this line, it's a special line. It's a vertical line. I draw my graph through the entire picture. All right? So what about a problem like this one? 3x minus 2y is equal to 8. Well, this equation is not in slope-intercept form. The first thing I have to do is rewrite it in the slope-intercept form, which is why we did this lesson prior, the one where we were solving equations to get them in the slope-intercept form. So the first thing on this problem, I know to graph, I want to get this y by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move that 3x. This leaves me with negative 2y is equal to negative 3x plus 8. Now I'm going to divide each piece by negative 2. You got to make sure that you're paying attention to your signs. And I get y is equal to 3 halves x minus 4. This is the equation that I'm going to attempt to graph. I have a y-intercept at negative 4, plot that point. My slope says from that point go up 3. 1, 2, 3, and 2 to the right. 1, 2. That gives me my second point. And again, this could continue this pattern. Up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 to the right. Up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 to the right. And now I only needed to do it for 2 points, but now I've got a bigger guide for what this line actually looks like going through the entire coordinate plane. All right? So let's try one more where we solve this for y. Notice it's not in slope-intercept form, so the first thing I want to do is write it in slope-intercept form. I have to move that x. I would move it by subtracting it, and that gives me 2y is equal to negative 1x plus 4. Divide everything by 2, and I get y equals negative 1/2 x, that's my slope, plus 2, that's my y-intercept. So this line is exactly the same as this line. It's just written into a more graphing-friendly form. All right, I know that the y-intercept is at positive 2, so I graph that on the y-axis. I know my slope says to move down 1 and 2 to the right. Now, I can draw my line from there, or I can continue the pattern just to give me a better guide. Down 1, 2 to the right, down 1, 2 to the right. But I don't have anything to the left of the y-intercept. Well, remember, the slope 1 over negative 2 is the same thing. So I could also go up 1, 2 to the left, up 1, 2 to the left, up 1, 2 to the left. Now look at all those different points that I have to help me as a guide to graph this line. All right? Hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and we can look at some individual problems together.